Bring yourself back online.
Westworld Season 2, Episode 2. The Nerd Soup crew is back. I'm here along with Bo Oliver, Teddy, and welcome back, Nash. How you guys doing today? We'll start with you, Bo.
Good. Welcome back, Nash. Kind of sounds like a band.
Welcome back, Nash.
It's like Parks and Rec's, like, oh, called it.
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, but I'm doing well. I can't wait to get into this episode. I thought it was just as good as episode 1, if not better. More focused episode. The storylines were less, but we got some very interesting answers as to the history of the park, and I know that's something you were interested in. So yeah, I'm very excited to review this episode.
Yeah, real quick. I mean, what you said last episode, I feel like this is definitely an episode when you go back when the season's over, and this is going to be a lot of things you can read in between the lines. That'll come back later on. Teddy, how you doing?
Doing all right. Loving this weather.
It is nice out, finally.
It's weird feeling the heat again. But I like this episode a lot because I was a fan of, like you said, the less storylines. It made it a little easier to follow.
Yeah.
And I also really liked that they gave us the roots of Westworld, because I know, like everyone else is probably wondering how this park came to be, because they started off season 1, episode 1 with the park established already. So no one really ever got the whole glimpse of the before of the park.
Yeah, that's what I said coming into this season, that I wanted to see what happened once William took over Delos, and I'm glad we're getting to see a little bit of that now, and hopefully more throughout the season. Nash, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on again. I mean, this episode was awesome, as the show's been. Some good scenes, you know. I like, I mean, I don't want to jump into anything, but Los Pollos in Westworld.
Oh,
nice tease.
Chicken Man.
Yeah.
You're getting the hang of this. How's it feel, you know, on the podcast? You know, you talking?
It feels good. It feels good.
Does it feel right?
Yeah, it feels right. What's this kid's deal?
I don't know.
Man.
Anyway, sorry.
I'm sorry for you. I'll try to keep him. It's all right. You can take a couple seconds off. You need to regather yourself after you were so rudely interrupted by.
Should we restart the recording?
I think we should restart the channel.
Should I just leave?
Soup time. I just leave.
Well, like I was saying with the great scenes, I actually, sorry, I just want to say great Dolores scenes.
Oh yeah,
that's what I actually forgot to say Dolores, but yeah, some great Dolores scenes, great episode, great show.
And we start out with Dolores with Arnold in the real world, and I thought this might have been, because I think we saw glimpses of it in the trailers, I thought this might have come later in the timeline, but it turns out Arnold brought Dolores into the real world, and I love this whole sequence. Everything from, we get a young Ford with Anthony Hopkins voiceover again. Looks like he's, I kind of like that. He's not in the season, but his presence is still there. He's still doing some work with the voiceover stuff. And definitely the journey into the city and how just Arnold is treating Dolores. And you can kind of see that budding relationship start. He thinks of her as a creation as more of a child, not something like a toy, which was referenced last episode. How'd you feel about that, Bo?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good opening scene. You're seeing Bernard, his perspective on humanity. He tells Dolores that when you look at the real world, after a while, it doesn't look like anything at all, which I'm thinking that's got to be where they got the whole, when the hosts look at something they're not supposed to see, it doesn't look like anything to me. But the whole theme of that relationship is that Bernard is starting to develop the idea that the hosts are possibly going to replace humanity eventually, and how can I help them do this? What was interesting, too, is that he mentions his son, Charlie, which a lot of people are still a little bit confused about this. They think that Arnold didn't have a son, but he did. That's why Ford gave Bernard the backstory of the dead son.
Yeah, and I think that's confirmed in...
Well, he says that's why he plays the song Reverie in the finale, that it was Charlie's favorite song, that he used to play it for him.
Well, even when
Busey song?
Yeah, when he hands him the maze, too, at the end.
Right, it was Charlie's toy.
Yeah.
So he says that when, just to skip a little bit ahead, when he takes her to his house and he talks about how Dolores reminds him of Charlie, because they both have that innocent look on the world, and we always say that kids they're ignorant, and ignorance is bliss. They're still very optimistic about the world and its possibilities, and Arnold has essentially developed an adult who still has that childlike wonder. But in the previous episode, he says that he's afraid of what Dolores would become. So it's also, you see Ford in this episode, it's obviously a middle-aged Ford, where at this point, he's more concerned about getting Westworld off the ground. It's about the funding. And you could see how he's going to take that idea that Arnold is starting to develop in this scene, that the host could be superior, and he's going to basically twist it and make Dolores into what you've called her, the villain of season 2. Right. So it was a great opening scene.
So that scene, you think, is more from Arnold's perspective from the whole thing, as opposed to Ford's perspective for the first season. We finally get a look at what Arnold was actually feeling and thinking before they opened the park.
Yeah, it's and you see it from Ford too, that he's very much, is Dolores ready for this meeting that they're pitching? And talk about a great meeting, the way that they convinced Logan to invest in the park. But it's that different perspective where he's saying, yeah, I think you're playing favorites with Dolores. And somebody commented on my video today and said, if Charlie is alive at this point, is Arnold more invested in Dolores at this point in his life?
That could be a regret he had, that he paid more attention to Dolores rather than Charlie.
When Charlie got sick.
Yeah.
Well, they say that because Arnold mentions that his family considers me living in the park. That's my home. And
right.
But that's one thing that I think was one of the most important parts in that scene, is that we finally get a setting.
Yeah, where do you think that is? Hong Kong? That was my guess.
Yeah, it's definitely in Hong Kong. I mean, they alluded to it in the first episode when the Chinese officers came to the beach. But now
because he said he wanted to have them closer to the Westworld Park, right?
Yeah, and they're in Hong Kong, and he's building their home in Hong Kong. So I'm assuming, like we said, it's off the Pacific.
Right, and there's also obviously they make the Asian businessman that goes to meet Logan. You could see the Chinese lettering when they're walking through the city. Like you said, he spends more time in the park. And Ford says that in season 1, that Arnold spent so much time in the park and he eventually died. So I guess I didn't expect them to go so much into Arnold in season 2. I thought what we got from Arnold is all we really needed to know. Mm-hmm. But I guess they're going to document basically his fall into madness, because he did kind of lose his mind but towards the end. I mean, if anybody kills themselves, because it was a terrible plan when you look at it. You really start to think about it. His plan, I'm just going to kill myself and kill all the hosts, and the park is going to go under.
I think I kind of thought Ford lost his mind, because Ford got too consumed with it, and he just was in it for the money and getting it off the ground. And Arnold actually was trying to save humanity from these hosts. And Ford got just too wrapped up with how big this could be. Didn't really look into it, of what it could be.
Yeah, and he admits that at the end of season 1, that it wasn't until Arnold committed suicide that he realized the mistakes that he had made, that he didn't see the hosts as Arnold saw the hosts, and that he was basically trying to correct his mistakes. He has the Oppenheimer quote, that a man whose mistakes take 10 years to correct must be quite a man. But I don't know. Nash, what do you think about this opening scene between Arnold and Dolores?
She couldn't even believe, she thought she was in a dream. And really, that was the real world, what he was living in. And, she was just amazed by it.
In fact, he actually thinks that this other world that they're going to could be home for him.
Right. And it was pretty funny to see Dolores so, transed out by the lights, when mostly humans, we just don't even notice that. But that's her just seeing that for the first time,
Something we take for granted.
Right.
Really, it's just part of our normal day.
Did Arnold, to you guys, seem disappointed when he hears Dolores repeat that line?
I was just going to ask you what you guys thought that meant.
I think to Arnold...
In his head, is he thinking that, I guess she is ready? Like, she's not really thinking? She's just going by what I programmed her?
Well, I think he's thinking that she's not ready, that she's not conscious yet, because that's got to be a line that Arnold had written for her, and then she repeats it, and he's thinking she's not thinking for herself. She's basically on script right now, so she's not ready yet.
But isn't that good? But that would make them not ready, though. No, if they're conscious, that would make them.
Yeah, exactly. That's Ford's idea, that you can't just say, "Oh, here's a conscious being world. Let me introduce you." Yeah,
kill it.
Right. Ford was saying we need to keep you in the park so you can understand. I mean, they're both kind of out of their minds, because Ford wants to replace humanity with them. Arnold thought, I guess Arnold is almost like the Professor X. We can live in harmony. But he does have the line here where he says, "Sometimes I think we're simply not the ones who deserve it," talking about the world. So you can see those thoughts brewing up that the hosts maybe should replace humanity.
I wonder if they're going to answer this question that I have, and it's, did these hosts get made by accident? or were these hosts made for this park? Did Ford and Arnold create these hosts on their own, and then someone found out about it, and they want to make a park
in their
about
garage, like Wozniak and Jobs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get that answered, because then you're going you're taking too much of the mystery away. Because even though they are peeling back the hosts and showing us how they work, it would be almost impossible for them to show us how they discovered how this could work, because you're talking about science.
I guess if you were going to do it, it would have been this episode then.
This is a good question though, because it's you're making a human replica and possibly an AI all for a theme park, because that's like ground. I always thought, why aren't these in every home? Like these
like butlers.
Yeah, or
for the rich.
I guess they got to make a spin-off or a prequel.
You can make a killing off that.
That is so in depth that they need to make a story before this, I should say.
But it's more of what Arnold and Ford's thinking. what they want out of their creation. They want to, it's a place where you can be yourself. It's a place where you can actually see humanity and things like that. Once you spread it out all, because the IP can't leave the park. So once you spread it all across the world, number one, you're changing the world, and number two, you're kind of losing the essence of what you created when it becomes. It's kind of like selling out,
But
appealing to the masses rather than having your creation special to what you made it for and to you alone.
But I'm sure everyone's curious on how they came up with this technology and how they thought about all this.
Well, yeah, it's the whole Delos plot. They want the IP. They want to figure out so they can use it for their own personal gains, probably for the masses to make the most money, to monetize that creation.
See, that's like referring to the IP can't leave the park, but if it comes into the real world, she was so amazed by just city lights and all of that. You
can you can change the coding and for that to just be a normal occurrence, and because that once you can change the coding for like different purposes. If they were gonna have one in every home, obviously they would be used to that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, she doesn't know any other world, and I know what you mean. She only knew Westworld. Like, that's the only world that she knew, right?
Yeah, but look at Bernard. You can obviously program him to adapt into different circumstances and situations.
I mean, when Logan first discovers when he's in that room, which I thought was a great scene. I mean, we all saw it coming, that all those people in that room were going to be hosts. But to see it from his perspective, and just to backtrack a little bit, when he's actually talking to Angela about how so many different startups are asking for his money where they're dealing in virtual reality and augmented reality and artificial intelligence, when he discovers the hosts, he says to Angela, he's like, we're not here yet. This technology doesn't exist. So, like, to your point, this technology is in its infancy. It's revolutionary. Logan has never seen anything like this before. Definitely. He's seen startups. But this isn't like, I don't think it's a worldwide product thing. Right. And even at this point, even Arnold doesn't think that Dolores is conscious and that's his baby.
Let's say they passed the Turing test.
Right, pass the Turing test, but that's a whole ex machina thing too. It's if you program a chess game to beat you in chess, is it conscious or is it just doing what it's programmed?
I'm just saying for Logan, like he had no fucking clue.
Oh, for Logan, right, yeah. Well, you have to go beyond the Turing test, but...
You know what it was with Logan, too? It was all of these hosts doing all different things. He just looked so amazed that one was playing the piano, one was drinking, one was conversating with another host.
That's a good point, because that's what Logan says, that they're all so human.
Yeah, they're all so human. He was just so amazed by that fact.
They were very aware. It wasn't just like you said, one playing the piano and stuck on that. When he looks back and he's looking at them and they're turning around and they notice him in the room, they're making eye contact.
Or the two hosts that brought him into the room, even Akichita, who that's a great name. I'm going to name my kid Akichita.
And Angela's a host? She's a host, right?
Yeah, she is a host. Yeah, well.
Did you see the first season?
Yeah, but I thought maybe she wasn't the host because of that scene with Logan.
She's a spy?
Yeah.
She's a really good actress.
Doesn't she say a line along like, what's the difference if you don't know the difference or something like that?
Is there a difference?
In season
so
one.
It's kind of like foreshadowing to that part, like...
Yeah, she did it to Logan, and then she did it to William in season one. What do you guys think about Arnold basically shielding Dolores from that role? Because that was supposed to be Dolores' role, to be the hostess of the hosts. And you see Dolores kind of spying on them, and maybe she's thinking back on that moment, thinking Arnold had my best interests in mind. Arnold essentially wasn't going to pimp her out. Because that's what they were like. Oh, we'll pimp out Angela, but not Dolores.
If she's thinking like that, then that's crazy.
Well, at that point, I don't think it's registering, but I think when she goes back to that moment, because Ford was kind of like, "Why are you playing favorites with them? Who cares?"
Yeah. What a business tactic! It's like we're gonna make like these very attractive hosts and
hell of a move.
Have them bang our potential investor. Sold.
Yeah. Well, at that point too, it's they invest, but they don't have a majority stake.
Yeah.
Because this is a couple of years before.
Dip your feet in a little,
Right. It's because Arnold is obviously still alive, and it's about 5 years before Logan visits with William.
I wish they gave us a date.
I like the mystery. I think somebody one day is going to go back and just rework the show all in chronological order. It's like when you watch Memento in chronological order, and it's just like, oh, so it's just a regular movie. But we split it up. Dunkirk was the worst example of that. Just tell the fucking story in order. And I love Dunkirk.
Well, I like Memento.
Oh, I love Memento too. I think it's because it's one of the first movies that did that told the story in this way. But you said the transitions in season one, they're seamless.
Yeah.
So they're not going out of their way to make it seem out of order. It's just very natural.
Yeah, and it doesn't, like, a lot of times when you go to flashbacks, it kind of ruins the pacing of a show or a movie or whatever you're watching. This seems very integral to the plot and for the story they're trying to tell, and creates the mystery rather than it seemingly out of place. And in these scenes, we kind of really see what Dolores has become in this season 2 arc. She's kind of turning into a bit of a villain, and I think we could see it in this, like, what is it called? The butcher shop? Body shop?
Yeah, the body shop.
Body shop scenes. She's pretty ruthless. I mean, she's kind of doing the same thing that she is accusing the humans of doing.
To go off what you said with the villain, you would think with someone like she cares so much about Teddy, and she breaks this news to him pretty fucking hard. Like, you would think she'd ease into him and tell him what's really happening, but brings him into the chop shop. He's seeing all the dead bodies, and then he has the tech go through his memory and show him everything. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, I think she's trying to appeal to his rage and to his anger. She's trying to appeal to his instinct, where we see later in the episode where Teddy is talking with Maeve, and Maeve is like, do you really feel free under Dolores' command? And Teddy starts to think, maybe I'm not
You're still
free.
on the border.
Yeah, but it was a very insensitive thing to do, just to say, hey, you've been dead a bunch of times and resurrected. Teddy's having basically an existential crisis in that moment, and he takes the guy who's really just kind of works there, and he's like, why would you do this? And the guy doesn't really have an answer. It's like, this is just my day job, man. I'm going on a date tonight.
Yeah.
You guys are out there fucking murdering everybody.
That's a big pickup, though. I think she's got Teddy fully committed now. So all my theories with Teddy not going with her.
I think Teddy's questioning it.
Yeah, I feel like Teddy's kind of like backtracking on it.
Wait, with what? What, you think he's not committed anymore to
Well,
Dolores?
yeah.
I think he is now.
Well, once you start thinking clearly, I mean, you can see the difference between Maeve and Dolores' philosophy. And, I mean, Teddy, I think, is more of a reasonable character, more of a, I guess, good. I mean, you can't really tell because, like, his whole personality is given to him and what we saw from season 1. But he seems like a very honorable, like, genuinely good character. So maybe once he starts to thinking on his own and he still has those personality traits within him, that he might see with Dolores for the Wyatt that she is. I mean, you mentioned last episode that Teddy's, like, the memory that really, like, stuck with him and hurt him to his core is the memories of Wyatt. And that's pretty much what Dolores has become.
I mean, the easy comparison, too, for Maeve and Dolores, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. But it's so obvious where Dolores is saying, if you want to keep your freedom, you're going to have to fight for it. And Maeve says, is yours the only way to fight? And Dolores reminds me, if you're saying that she's a villain, she reminds me of Killmonger, where Killmonger was saying, these people have done all these terrible things to us. The only way to get back at them is to just do the same thing. And T'Challa's like, well, maybe we can handle this a different way. That's, to me, the Maeve character, where Maeve has been very set on her goals, but just seeing that scene with Dolores where maybe she's thinking there's a different method that we can take to keep our freedom. So I think Teddy is going to the scene when Dolores storms the Confederados. Even in that moment, I think Teddy's starting to think, what are we even doing here? You know, what's the end game?
See, with the thing with Dolores being a villain, you see that she's mad with like I don't know how to explain it. Is she either mad with power or revenge? Because with the power aspect, she has this guy that can reboot all these people. So she takes out all the Confederates and then has, hey, fix them up. And then she explains to them, like, I can kill you and bring you right back. Or is this all just like her? This is all revenge. I don't know if she's like falling in love with the power aspect of it or the revenge aspect of it.
Well, I was going to say, I think she's mad with power, but she's trying to convince herself it's purely for revenge.
Well,
she's eventually going to turn into what she hates, and she's using revenge as a way to kind of, well, no, it's not that bad. You know, they deserve it. She's trying to tell herself that, but...
Yeah, she like almost thinks that she's like a goddess at this point.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
You know?
And
like that's
just that imagery when she walks into the room and they're having the Last Supper, and she kills them and resurrects them. That's what a god does.
Yeah.
You know, that's what God did for Jesus.
I don't hate it. Like, I love, like, the arc Dolores is on. I was kind of, like, indifferent at first.
That's who Ford wanted her to be.
Yeah, I was indifferent at first. Like, oh, is she going down, like, the villain role, which, you know, I don't mind.
The thing is, she can easily just program these guys into following her.
I don't think she's... Maeve probably
no,
could.
they,
I don't think
they have the worker with the book.
Has she done that yet, though?
No, but I agree with what Nash is saying, that she's just power hungry now. She likes the feeling of people being scared of her. I think it'd be a lot easier just to fucking go around with the booklet and just get as many guys as you can.
I don't know the worker's name, but when he fixed them up, it looked like he was almost sliding, like, you know how Maeve was doing with Hector and putting the aggression all the way up and everything? It almost looked like he was doing that when he was fixing them. So does he have power over them? or was I missing something? I just felt like,
No, I think he does. I think those guys who have those iPads,
yeah,
that they can basically manipulate the traits of the different hosts.
That's another thing. Can't he just like stop Dolores?
Apparently, no.
If he scoots out, can he just like fuck with her?
Apparently, none of the commands
Template?
are working on any of them. Because Sizemore in the first episode, when he tried to stop the cannibal, and he said freeze all motor functions, and he didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ford probably messed up the code or did
But
something.
with the book, I guess with the booklet,
None
I
of
don't
them
know.
can be frozen at this point.
I feel like even with Dolores and Teddy, I feel like instead of trying to like show him and like convince him of the wrongdoing, she's almost trying to manipulate him by showing him all these things and using that to her advantage, rather than helping him out as like I guess a love interest would. Like, hey, let's like explaining to him slowly. Like you said, it's kind of very abrupt and kind of like messed up that she just throws it in his face and using that I guess reaction and emotion he's feeling to her advantage as a ways to manipulate her.
But that's what she did to the guys in the Confederados. He wakes up. He still remembers what happened, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So she's using the fear and manipulation to get her people.
Yeah, but that's the difference when you're doing that to build an army. But when you're doing it to Teddy, who's supposed to be pretty much you're in this together type relationship, like your only friend really, and she's using the same tactic that she would on basically trying to build a mindless army on her back that you are for Teddy.
I was under the impression that all the hosts were free thinking now, but it's just Maeve and Dolores, right? And now it's now Bernard is, and I guess Hector is starting to get.
This still is stages. I mean, Dolores, she's been a work in progress for all these years. Maeve was able to, same thing with Maeve, like, it doesn't happen. I mean, the seeds are planted where they can start to eventually, I guess.
It seems like all it takes is one thing. You tell them that they're alive, and they feel
certain,
like they're
like
alive.
I said, I mean, even Ford says, doesn't he say, like, only certain hosts have this ability?
Yeah,
It's
not
not-
all
it's not
of
with
them
all
gain
of them.
consciousness.
They're off their loops, though, so they kind of have that aspect to it. They're not stuck in their loops anymore.
Yeah, to piggyback off what you said about what Dolores is doing to Teddy, I feel like she wants Teddy to be in sync with him so they can almost be like a Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing. She almost wants a god to the goddess kind of. You could see that he's like debating it a little bit. She's like poking the bear, look what they did to you, and then he starts choking that guy and he's like, why would you do this? And ask why. And then he realizes, like Blue said, Teddy's trying to backtrack, but she's trying to she always says like, this world is going to end with me and you. It almost looks like she wants a god to the goddess, kind of Bonnie to the Clyde.
Do you think that he betrays her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I really
Yeah.
don't think so.
And I think she does not want that at all. She wants to be the one in charge.
I think he betrays her, but he gets clapped up. I think he gets killed.
I could see that ending for Teddy.
Yeah.
Do you find it hard to fathom that they want to leave the park and try and take on the real world?
Well, that's the whole idea of this episode, is that they have something in the park that William created. The last scene, or the couple of the last scenes, where William takes a young Dolores to see that special project he's developing, just to jump ahead. And he sees it as his biggest mistake, and Dolores says it's a weapon. So there's a mystery surrounding what he created in the park that Dolores thinks that she can use to take them down. That's why all the scenes with Dolores in the past in this episode, it feels like she is just searching through her memories. That they'll never come out and say that this episode was Dolores thinking about all the important moments to find this special project that William was developing. But she knows what it is because William was foolish enough to bring her to the location. And it looks like in the present timeline, or in the aftermath of the Delos massacre, that Dolores and William are in a race to get there, because William tries to develop his army or build his army. Dolores is building an army. They're both heading out west. So that's the mystery of this season so far. What is this secret project? And they get into that in the flashbacks with William and specifically his father-in-law.
Well, yeah, William tries to build his army, and his first recruit is his old faithful sidekick, Lawrence.
I love Lawrence.
Recently of Super Troopers 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in the opening scene of it.
Clifton Collins Jr. Good actor.
He is. He's actually really good in this. But yeah, you kind of see where you were trying to say, are the hosts still conscious, or all of them conscious? Well, they're clearly stuck in their loop slightly, but with alterations, because he goes up and says, you usually make it out of here by this time. And yeah, Lawrence is in a sticky situation. What a way to like die, eaten by red ants, fire ants. That'd stink, right?
That's torture.
Yeah.
That is the definition of torture.
Well, he's a robot, so who gives a fuck?
See, that's where you go wrong, man.
And you're the
yeah,
one that
yeah.
would get killed
What
in
the hell?
Westworld.
I'd retract that.
What, they're gonna come for me?
You never
You know,
know.
Teddy said that last episode.
I
And
know.
he freaked out on it.
Mine is more in jest. Teddy.
So
was-
they're not real? So that was like the whole thing about them being real. You guys sit there and say that they're not real?
Yeah, but I was right. I was joking around on this one. You were being dead ass. Sorry, Ted. You don't deserve that.
Ted is fuming right now. You guys can't see him.
But we see again, William, the Man in Black, he's in another instance when shit gets real, and he almost dies again, pretty much, until
And
Lawrence
to your
saves
point,
him.
Nash, from last episode, he's just laughing as soon as Lawrence saves him.
Yeah, it's a thrill for him.
Yeah.
This is like what he
He's getting a
wanted.
kick out of it.
He's also a cheating bastard, though. So
Well, I think Ford changed the rules. That's what he says. So he had the little med kit stashed, getting a little health boost.
he's got those everywhere too.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
There's got to be a count on his crates and his med kits. And
Well, the guy's probably the richest man in the world. He's probably got all these little things throughout the park. Secret items and weapons and power-ups. He's a master player, man. He's been playing for, he's probably level 99.
he's got an M16 somewhere.
Ray gun.
That would change the game in there, man.
Oh, yeah.
Get an automatic in there.
I could see that. Well, I can't wait till Maeve gets the katana. Be slicing people up.
We're not there yet, but I just want to say it. How fucking pumped did you get when Maeve and Dolores? I thought it was gonna be the fucking greatest showdown of all time.
Yeah, we'll get to it then.
I think they're going to
I wanted to
reunite.
say it. I've been
All right,
dying
yeah.
fucking talking about it.
Nicely, we'll get to it. Jumping the gun, man.
Well, in this scene, The Man in Black with Lawrence, he kind of talks about the idea of Westworld when they first started it, that it was a place where people can hide from God, hide from judgment. But judgment wasn't what they had in mind. They had something in mind entirely, something different in mind entirely. Well, and the scene also kind of coincides. They're not back-to-back scenes, but it's a flashback where William is trying to get his father-in-law, James Delos, played by Peter Mullen, great Scottish accent too. He's trying to get him to buy out the company because at this point, Delos's Westworld is losing money because Arnold committed suicide, and they've only got 3 years left. And basically, William convinces him to buy the company because he says we can find out what people want. And a lot of people have thought that this would be used for advertisement and more sinister means for blackmail, that they can use the park to blackmail the famous and powerful people that visit the park. But I thought it was a great introduction to a character that I kind of didn't even think existed, that they would never show him on the show. James Delos.
It's crazy when Dolores is, I guess, sleeping. She's still listening because William says that line you just said, like, people come here to not be judged, and that's what she says to the board member in the chop shop.
Yeah, that's my theory, that Dolores is remembering all these things that she's heard before.
They can remember everything and everything you say.
Well, the Man in Black says judgment wasn't the point. We had something else in mind entirely. There's so many different ways that can go. I mean, and it really is kind of similar to like the real world today, like with the whole Facebook thing and Mark Zuckerberg using people's information for advertisements and thing like that. But that's kind of, I feel like, kind of be a letdown if that's like their Delos master plan.
Yeah, the Delos master plan is we're going to sell you the toaster that's right for you, or we're going to manipulate your political views. It's a little silly to me. It's not silly, but it's a little, we've already got this in the real world.
But when
so it's not that entertaining.
When we were discussing theory, like what could it mean when we were talking before, I was, maybe it starts as something like that. Like, all right, we can use this information. We can gather all this information, DNA, to learn more about these people. Like you said, we can blackmail the world leaders. We can advertisements.
Advertisement thing, it's like middle-class people aren't going to fucking Westworld.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about selling things, like what are you trying to sell Ferraris to people? Because the people that go to Westworld are rich.
No, it's like even more than rich.
Yeah, it's
the
like
top of the cream of the crop.
It's like Jay-Z and Beyonce and.
But to start, you can use that information, negotiating tactics, get to know who these people are at their core, use the information to strengthen your position, blackmail, things like that, and then you can use this information as subliminal targeting on the most powerful people in the world, and eventually you can spiral into something more and more. William could have gotten more greedy. All right, we can use this information, but we can do stuff like we can make clones or shit like that into something more sinister than just, trying to make an extra few bucks.
Do you think that Delos had this plan all along?
Well, the dad didn't even want anything to do with it. The dad just didn't care.
Like William probably sees something that, like he said, like this is the only place where we can actually see how people act. And it happened to him. He knows from experience. He changed into something else entirely. There's value in that information when you can see that within the most powerful people in the world, the richest people in the world.
It could be so bad that when he says that he's going to burn this place down, like he thinks if this information gets out, it can be destructive.
Right, it's not going to just destroy Westworld. Yeah. It could destroy the world.
That's what he wants to get out of here.
That's why he's freaking out.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, even something like when William goes back to see if he had anything left in him after his family, his wife dies and he kills a child to see if he could do it. Imagine, let's just say today we get video of fucking Jeff Bezos in Westworld doing like shit like that to a child, even though it's a host. It's pretty like a sick imaging. It's something like, wow, this guy must be messed up in the head.
See, why?
So imagine that like getting out to the public in the Westworld.
Well, it could also be as simple as you're with a host, you're drunk, and you tell the host, you know, me and my company did this. Now we have that information. We have this private, secure information that you thought we didn't have. Now we can blackmail you to do our bidding. It's much easier for like politicians. It's like The Godfather, you know, when the senator kills the prostitute, and Tom Hagen's like, you know, she didn't have a family, didn't really have a name. Nobody's going to know she went missing. It's like, now we've got this guy under our thumb. Yeah, but something like that, even with William, where somebody like William is not going to be blackmailed. He's doing the fucking blackmailing. Yeah, it could be something as crazy as all the theories that I've read on the internet, or it could be something much smaller. It could just be William building other parks, and that's like, oh, my biggest mistake was building a fucking super army for these people, that if it gets out to all the parks, then they're all going to rebel.
Oh, so you're saying like Westworld being the first world to become conscious, and then the other worlds start to realize that they're conscious too?
Right.
So other worlds possibly starting a world war, essentially?
Yeah, or just like a war on that island to where it breaks out into the world. Because where he brings Dolores, it's like a construction site.
It was like a demolition.
I think I got it. Are you familiar with genetic editing?
Can you stop with the Rampage references?
I can't stop.
But I don't really
get in bed.
I don't necessarily agree with what you think about what they're going to do with those DNA. How is them taking eyelashes and piss and hair, how is that going to...
Because people could say that video was altered, and it's like, yeah, well, we have your fucking DNA. So
or I was saying, too, at the beginning,
proof.
It can spiral. Once the technology reaches a point where, all right, we're using this information as blackmail, and then much further down the road, Hale says that, we had a conversation with Bernard, it's like 30 years in the future. So it could start as something as simple as William just trying to get information on his competitors, like Bo said, and then over time just wanting more and more and spiraling into something crazy like, who knows? I don't, or I would say.
I don't think Westworld knows.
It's a great mystery because, like Ford's narrative in season 1, everybody's like, oh, what the fuck is this narrative? We need to find this out. So they've got us again with the mystery box. But there's something I wanted to bring up, the coronation party, where it's James Delos. It's essentially his retirement party, but William is taking control. And in this scene, it looked like he was sick, that James Delos was coughing during their conversation. So what I was thinking here is that it's the point in the Westworld timeline where all the diseases haven't been cured, because we learned in season 1 that where they are in the future, that all diseases are cured, you can't get sick anymore. So what I was thinking is that James Delos is stepping down because he doesn't have his health, that he's in poor health or he could be dying. And it seems that Charlie is alive, or Charlie was alive, but he also died during this time before William, because William tells him to be patient. I don't know, did you guys pick up on that? That maybe William is working on curing all the world's diseases? Could that play into his biggest mistake?
It could be. Yeah, that was an interesting scene too, because it's kind of, where's that? It's kind of before, I guess, William takes control. Like, is he already in? He's probably already.
I thought that was him getting control of the company.
Well, he's already in the position where he knows he's getting in control. Like, it's probably
Logan's out at this point.
It's probably already established. So, and we see before how William speaks to James in the park, and he tells him like, no man alive will speak to me like that, and William feels comfortable to him. That was kind of like a nice showing that William's ready to take charge. Like he doesn't even see James Delos as a threat anymore, because he already knows that he's taken over. But you say that the world's cured disease. Is that like established fact?
Ford says it in the first episode. He says we can cure any disease. We can keep the weakest of us alive. One day maybe we'll call back Lazarus from the grave. That's the exact quote.
Yeah, but I think he's referring to what he can do to the hosts.
I thought that...
No, he's talking about humanity. Because his whole thing is that humanity is stopped evolving. That evolution is done for humanity. That they've slipped evolution's leash. He's talking about humanity. So when he applies the reveries to the hosts, and Bernard refers to it as a mistake, he says, yes, that's evolution forged all sentient life on the planet using mistake. Indulge me. But he's talking about humanity, because there's even a scene in season 1, I think it's episode 5, where some guests approach the man in black and say, you're my biggest hero, you saved my sister's life, and the man in black is like, shut the fuck up, I'm going to slit your throat.
But number one, all disease?
Yeah.
And number two, but only if you're insanely rich, probably. Not to the common folk.
Or maybe there's one disease that they couldn't figure out.
All disease is cured in this world.
I'm thinking there could be like a sinister subplot here where William found all the cures and just held out on his father-in-law. Because his father-in-law's like, don't count me out just yet. I might not step down. That's what he says in the scene. And William's like, oh, well, be patient. We're working on some stuff. It's like, oh, you gotta be quicker than that. A little fucking syringe. So I think that could be like a little sinister subplot, or it could play into the weapon.
So maybe it was.
Well, but if it's only
give me something next episode.
Give me something, man.
Well, let's say that does happen. It's only available to the rich. You can also use that as a way to start a revolution. If you tell the common folk, hey, they've been holding out on us. They can cure anything, but you haven't given it to you guys. You all have been dying. Your families have been dead.
Who's letting that out, William?
No, Dolores.
No, Dolores.
William is gonna make sure that it doesn't get out, and then he's gonna destroy the park.
I just saw the season, so.
All right, you guys want to talk Infinity War?
Well, Teddy, it's your time to shine. You teased. You've been itching at the bit to talk about Maeve and Dolores finally running into each other. And is it weird that my main takeaway from that scene was I started like dying laughing when they panned to what's his name?
Gus?
No, not Gus. I'm talking about Maeve and Dolores.
Oh, Lee Sizemore.
Yeah, I started.
Oh my
fucking
god!
dying
He's
laughing.
in the fucking get up.
Yeah.
Somebody posted on Twitter.
Dolores had to see that he wasn't a host, right? Or you think Maeve just had her not care?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think Lee Sizemore was just there to spectate.
Walking the fucking the horse or
like
fucking so
somebody
funny,
posted on Twitter he was looking like Tom Sawyer.
I was wondering where Sizemore was, and then they fucking flashed him.
You see his face too.
Yeah, he looks so shook.
Yeah, his eyes are like lit up.
I'm gonna die right now.
You're just taking it all in. It's like, fuck, there's another one that can do this shit?
Yeah, that's an interesting relationship there because Dolores says, I remember you, and Maeve's like, yeah, I remember you too. Not doing so well, huh? Going a little kooky.
Yeah.
But yeah, Maeve does not care less.
It's like at first you thought that Maeve was with the revolution, but she's nowhere near that anymore. She wants no part in it.
Right. Well, season 1 is all about her saying,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my revenge. The gods they're not really gods, they're just men.
And now it's like Maeve is full conscious and she's checking Dolores.
Yeah, Maeve was like, listen, your revolution, it's cute. She has a great line where she says, revenge is just a different prayer at their altar, and I'm well off my knees. Which is, to me, that's just
go do your own thing.
Yeah, but I think she's cooking up an idea, too, of how to fight back without using violence. That's why I went with the Martin Luther King, Malcolm X comparison, it's been done so much, Professor X, Magneto, T'Challa, Killmonger. I think the next time they meet, there is going to be a showdown.
Do you think that I don't think she even wants part of it anymore. I think she just wants to get her kid and fucking...
Well, I don't think Dolores wants a piece of Maeve either, because Maeve was like, "Well, you're all about freedom, right? So you're gonna let us pass."
Well, if Maeve wants, she can just shut down Dolores, though.
No, she can't at this point.
I think she could.
I think she might be able to.
That would just.
I thought she was going to right there. I'm surprised she didn't.
She might be able to, but like you said, like revenge. She's basically saying, "I got off my knees. Like, grow up. This isn't about revenge anymore." She could have shut her down, but she's like, "Why would I get my revenge? Like, what's the point?" Like,
Maeve is a more human character at this point because you see she makes a conscious decision that she wants to go back and free her daughter, which is a very human thing to do, to save. Even though it's not her real daughter, it's still someone that the memories.
How dare you?
What? The memories are real to her, and she goes back, and it's a very human thing to do. And she has differing viewpoint as Dolores, where she can actually see what she's doing is pretty much you're killing, innocent people that probably don't deserve it, and your way is not the way to go about it.
That's my itch with the show. These people weren't here to hurt you. They weren't out for you personally, like they were there to have fun, and you're starting to realize what this place was. And
Teddy's there thinking of his excuse if he was in Westworld, and Dolores pulls up on him. It's like, no.
But it's true though. These people weren't out to go hurt Dolores. They're there to get out and go do their own thing. It's like it's not a personal vendetta on these people to go out and hurt Dolores, or even the host for that matter.
Right. If it was
how is it revenge?
If it was the situation when these were actually human beings and they were doing these things and they knew that, but to them it's just a video game. It's a toy.
Isn't that more insulting that they're just like a nothing? Like,
yeah,
there's no name to it. I'm just killing a random robot.
Well, the scene with William and Dolores, the flashback when he's like, "You're nothing. You're just a thing," and Dolores is like, "Oh," she kind of looks sad.
Yeah,
it's very demeaning, and it depends on how you feel. I mean, I said this last year. I was like, I probably went a little too far. I said that the host deserved life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and somebody commented on the video and lost their mind. He's like, "You're the reason that the fucking toasters are gonna rise up and take over the world because you're just gonna submit." And I was like, well, I for one welcome our toaster overlords. So, and I guess it depends on your perspective. Like Teddy's saying, they came here, like when you kill somebody on GTA, you don't think you're a murderer.
No.
But it's like what Angela says to Logan. We're offering you something more tangible. It's different when the person is indistinguishable from a human being. They make them purposely biological. They are more biological than machine. They have blood. They have organs. The only thing that they can't do is suffocate because they don't need oxygen in their brains. But other than that, if you don't have somebody who can turn them back on, then they're dead. To me, they're living things. I wouldn't be able to go to Westworld. I said that before. Like, what would you do at Westworld? I wouldn't fucking go. That's just weird. I thought it was weird when I first saw it. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Oh, no, I'm staying in
I'd
Sweetwater the whole time.
I'd go on a fucking
Oh, yeah.
rampage.
I'm just hanging out, drinking, and just living life.
Just
I'm not
do-
going out there.
Just doing what you do now.
I'm chasing
And-
Dolores the whole time.
Oh, you're William.
Yeah, I am William.
100%.
So you're
yeah.
the worst fucking person to go on vacation with.
I could see
Yeah.
Nash becoming the man in black, yo.
To backtrack a bit, you think this is kind of William's doing by bringing Dolores everywhere he went, pretty much? Like, he just, like, kept bringing her, and now she just kept
Oh, well,
learning
that's
more and more
100%. Dolores says it was stupid for him to bring me here, because now I know the location of this mysterious thing. So every secret that he told her was a mistake,
and more.
because she's got access to it all.
Yeah, but he didn't know at the time that she was going to become conscious, which is like,
Yeah. Or even listening. I wonder if he knew if she was
The
listening
best part.
to him.
Well, she did
Ever.
wake him up. I mean, he did wake her up.
A nice little another reunion we see though is
Staring
Dolores.
through my soul.
Yeah. Dolores is also with Logan on that journey for part of it, and they kind of have a weird reunite. How do you say it? Reunited?
Reunion?
Reunion. I don't
The
know.
title of the episode?
I couldn't fucking speak. They have a nice little reunion. And immediately Logan's like, oh, he fucking sent you down here. That fucking asshole. You don't want to be William. William sucks. He's the bad guy. In
His
season
humor
one.
is a little baroque.
Logan's line was great when he says, like,
Yeah, it
these
reminded
guys are
me
gonna
of-
burn down the city, and they lit the match.
Yeah, it was like Nero fiddling while Rome burns.
Yeah, he's not doing too hot. I would be fucking pissed too.
I thought he was
your
on
dad
heroin.
gives.
Well, he knows that this is not a good idea.
Well, and just his whole like his
He lost the
birthright
company.
pretty much is just given to him. He's resorted to super heroin. What was that? He had 4 holes in his arm.
yeah,
It's super heroin.
Yeah.
some futuristic heroin.
Yeah.
He's obviously depressed. He's resorted to drugs. and
I
he's
said this
drinking.
before. It reminded me of Looper, that in the future they have futuristic drugs for some reason.
Hey, you offered me some drug in my eye, right?
I did not offer you that, but if you want some, it's after the recording.
But it's sad. I mean, he's framed to like be like a bad guy, but he's not.
You don't
Williams-
think they're gonna show old man Logan?
He's the bad guy. William's
If
the
he even
fucking
makes
bad
it.
guy, man.
Williams is a scumbag.
What
This
happened?
guy's just
Logan
trying to go
wanted
on
no part
fucking
in this.
go on vacation and
Yeah.
have fun. Spend
Logan
his,
wanted no
spend his
part in
hard earned money and
Has Herder earned money?
his hard earned.
Was he on the herd with Colin Coward?
Yeah, but Logan kind of cracked the nut for William to go
Are you
all out.
serious? What is that?
What?
You're making that. Yeah, you're making noises. But you're.
You just went.
I thought I was the only one.
Oh, stop!
So stop doing that.
Well, like I was saying, Logan is the reason why William kind of snapped. He kind of gave him a taste of it, and then
Oh
when-
yeah, yeah.
you know, so like William's not that much of a dickhead. Logan,
No,
is
Williams
kind
being a
of
fucking dweeb the
He
whole
just
time.
took it to-
Logan is the dickhead.
because he's the one that started it. Without William,
He's gonna be in his.
You stop at red lights in GTA. That's who you are. That's who William
I drive
is.
in line, and then if I have to go all savage, I will. No, I'm saying Logan showed William what the world's about, and William just took it to a next level. Like, how are you guys saying that William is the dickhead when Logan's the one that made him quote unquote conscious
He
of
didn't
what
show the
Westworld
world's
is?
about. He just brought him to Westworld.
Yeah, if Logan allowed
lost his
William,
fucking mind.
if
Yeah,
Logan
he didn't
allowed,
know. He probably didn't know William's a fucking sociopath.
yeah, but Logan let William. He's kind of Walter White. William.
I can see that.
Their arcs are very similar, where it's you always had this beast
Oh,
sleeping, and then
and
it
by
was-
the way,
oh boy,
William is not the Man in Black. Even though he is the Man in Black, him and Ed Harris, they talk differently. They have different delivery. Their accents are different.
well, I always go. It's the nose and the chin.
Facial features.
No, facial features do. I'm a big facial feature guy.
I'm just talking about their
You know what's the
mannerisms,
best
the way
one
they
ever?
act, the way they talk.
But you want to know
It's
what's the
also
best
30 years ahead.
facial feature match ever? Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness for Obi-Wan. That looks like a man that aged into Alec Guinness. If you look at the Ewan McGregor pictures where they age him up, he looks like Alec Guinness. To me, that's spot on. Jude Law as Dumbledore, great casting. I can do these all day. I'm a big facial recognition guy. Are you familiar with facial recognition?
I just honestly, I just see younger William as McPoyle from Always Sunny.
Honestly, I do too.
So it kind of messes me up a little bit for like to take him seriously.
Yeah, I know
Lyle,
what
the
you're
intern
saying.
from Letterman show.
Yeah,
People
yeah, that's
forget
what
that.
I was going to say. Is there any more left? The hacker from House of Cards.
That's a good one. What else is that fucking guy in?
The detective in the Biggie Smalls Tupac show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
No, but I think, yeah, the mannerisms too. It's like, okay, maybe he doesn't look like he could age into Ed Harris because he has a bigger nose than Ed Harris anyway. and the nose doesn't get smaller. See, I'm a big facial guy.
I think they're just showing how much.
But the mannerisms are
fucked
not
up
the
he got.
same.
The way they talk,
Yeah.
the delivery.
It could be
William's
just how much
very
he changed, though.
soft-spoken and slow. Where 30 years though, I mean, unless they.
You can change a lot in 30
That's
years.
a long time. A lot of people change like within a year, in months.
But he's already on that Man in Black path. Like he's already that person already. Old William is dead, and there's still no resemblance to the Man in Black.
You think-
Ed Harris's portrayal?
You guys think the Man in Black stagnated after William figured out how much he loved Westworld? You went from the shy William, okay, we're getting a little more serious, and then he got to his his peak where he's fucking like on a destructive path. Each year he went, he got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
That's a good point, because the moment where we're introduced to William's wife in this episode, he goes to kiss her and she's kind of like doesn't really receive him warmly. So it's already starting where you could see the crack in that relationship.
I think it happened like very like switch turned right away.
I don't think so. I would agree more with Teddy that it's become more gradual, because he didn't kill Maeve until recently. That was the first time he ever did what he considered to be just an egregious act, something of no return, where he completed his transition to becoming the Man in Black.
Yeah, that was on purpose. He went because he wanted to see how far he would go. Right? Is that what,
Right.
that's why he did it?
But at that point though, his whole family fucking hates him. He's already lost all connection to
Yeah.
the real world. So it's
But what Teddy said, like, I get what you're saying. Like, gradually he started to get worse and worse with the behavior and stuff, and then he just leveled off. But I think he got even worse once it became real. Once the host could actually
Right.
heard him, I think he came to. I mean, it doesn't get any higher than that because you're fighting to survive. So I think that's the highest point you can get to being.
We'll see how bad he
Psychotic.
gets this.
I mean,
Yeah.
and Ed Harris is Man in Black. He's
I
kind
really
of,
think he's gonna die.
all right.
Me
I'm
too.
talking.
I do too. But go ahead, Aaron.
Can you not overstep your boundaries? It's only your fucking second episode. I swear to God, if that happens again, you'll never be on another show again. Are you kidding me, Teddy?
Are you kidding me? You just threatened Nash.
I was joking. That's how we. That's
that
how we
was
joke.
very aggressive.
That was.
It's a very aggressive threat.
I didn't like that.
Fuck you, Ted. I don't
It's
care what you
whatever.
like. But what's the point? Like William Harris's Man in Black, he's almost charming.
William Harris?
Ed Harris. Who's William Harris?
I don't know.
Well, William is the character. Ed Harris is Man in Black. He's kind of like charming in a weird way, whereas William has the charisma of a fucking piece of sand.
Goat.
I think William's charismatic.
Not really.
Not as
He's
much as
creepy.
Ed Harris.
He's a little creepy. He's a
Well,
little
Jimmy
weird.
Simpson is a little odd in real life when you watch him in interviews.
Yeah, big boil.
He's a weird dude. But
Yeah,
I think that's what makes him a good actor.
No, he's great. I'm just saying, like,
off.
just that alone, like Ed Harris, like he's still like.
Well,
a
Ed Harris is Mr. I'm going to burn this whole fucking thing to
And
the
you're kind of like,
ground.
yeah, okay. And if William does, it's like, I'm gonna burn this whole
I'm
thing
going to
to
burn
the
this thing
ground.
to the ground.
Yeah, shut up, William.
He'd make a good Joker or a good Riddler.
That's what I saw. I saw in an interview he was doing like a Good Morning America.
Yeah, you like
He's
that,
very-
Riddler? Yeah.
It's not bad. But what I was gonna say was,
I like it.
It's not bad, but shut the fuck up.
he is in Westworld, so why wouldn't he develop into this? He just looks ideal for Westworld. So he's been there for 30 years. He's going to develop into one of the characters. I think that's what he did. I know that they don't really match each other from younger William to the man in the black hat. I mean,
Yeah,
he's been
yeah.
there for so long. That's how I see it. But,
Well, what did you think about the Gus Fring scene?
oh my God.
I hope he comes back, because you get an actor like Giancarlo Esposito, and he delivered a great monologue, which if another actor had that monologue about the elephants and the stakes, it's very on the nose, the metaphor, that they train the elephants to, when they're children, that they can't remove the stakes, and then even when they're adults, that it's that psychological barrier that they can't get through. But the way he delivers that line, he's like, the massive, powerful elephants. And it was cool to see Lawrence seeing another guy playing his role that he played when William first got there.
Yeah, but did Lawrence know that? Like, did
No,
Lawrence
I don't think
realize
so.
that?
I don't think Lawrence even knew.
No, because William said that
He does
used to
see-
be
yeah,
you.
he
Like,
tells him,
what
yeah.
the hell is going on?
What the hell? I love Lawrence.
Yeah, that
How
was a,
lost do you think Lawrence is?
Oh, the guy's just a fucking... What a
He was on
terrible...
death row like an hour ago.
All season one, it's just him like being dragged around on horseback. You know, he's like on the back of the horse.
Well, I just love how it's basically Ford has these characters like set in the park that he gives his information to. Like it's basically Ford speaking to William at this point, because he even says like you have to play the game alone. Like he's in on what's going on right now, and that's that great scene when all the army that he was going to get from Pariah just all killed themselves, and he's basically not alone. He's with Lawrence. And I think that's another like sick
It's a big
joke
two.
from Ford. Is like, hey, yours. Remember this guy you used to hang out with a lot? Well, he'll help you along. He'll be your nice little sidekick. But it would be amazing if like Ford, like how you said last time when we had a young Ford, you want to see him pop up every now and then, giving him like little hints and trolling William. It'd be great if he just gets iconic television actors to fill that role. Like next week we got Peter Dinklage like popping up.
Oh, that would be cool, actually. I know you're going for the joke, but that would actually be pretty cool.
That would be.
Yeah, if it was like William Shatner. You need to find the door. Robert.
What Ford says, that I think it was the last episode of season 1 where he says that Mozart will live on through his music. This is basically Ford living on through his game.
Oh, yeah.
You know, using different parts of, and he's basically mind picking William. He's beating him to the punch because he knows exactly what, he's one move ahead of William every time.
Yeah, he saw it
And William
coming.
can't stand
Yeah.
it. William is so pissed.
Yeah, he's furious.
Because he talks about the all-seeing eye earlier, that God was always watching, but here there is no God. And Ford's like, well, I'll do you one better because I'm still here, motherfucker. I am convinced he is in that wolf, that Ford is watching William in that wolf that kind of runs around the park. Because he was only seen in the Wyatt scenes previously. And then he's seen when William first wakes up in the first episode, so...
What if he's a warg?
Yeah, Ford is a warg. So I think Ford's going to keep popping up throughout the show. Different hosts.
I was watching. I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? I'm like, oh, what? Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? I'm like, holy shit,
Gus
that's
Fring?
fucking
I did the same
Gus.
thing.
I couldn't really see. It was like a little dark, and I'm like, I recognized the
Yeah.
voice right away.
Why-
I'm like,
Like,
who
why
the
does this guy's
fuck
voice
is
sound
this?
so fucking familiar?
Like, holy shit, that's Gus Fring.
I was freaking out. I was like, Los Pollos? Ooh.
They got to bring him back, though. Come on. One episode for that guy?
It's a
but that-
great fucking.
The rest of the season.
Just
at
to
least.
just to piggyback on Aaron's joke, I mean, I guess that's what they would have to do with like the main stars, like the A-list stars or the B-list stars, or you know, the people that kind of like go along with the riddle. Like they only there for like a certain scene, which that was the best scene in the episode, by the way. You know, that would be really cool idea.
That would be, actually.
that would be
yeah,
a fantastic
I do like
idea.
that idea.
You ever thought about writing your own show?
Uh,
Things in the work? Can't say yet.
I'll tell you one day when you're older.
That was our
Okay.
first cartoon idea.
Then it goes. Maybe
We ended up getting Taco Bell.
So, what were your final thoughts on the episode? So you said in the beginning that you liked it just as much as season 1, episode 1. Better than last episode? Worse? Same?
Yeah, I'd say it's
Maybe a
the
little
same.
better?
I think Westworld, I was thinking the other day, it's a show that hasn't had a bad episode yet. So every time I watch an episode now, I'm kind of like nervous because I don't. It's like
You're just
watching
waiting for it.
Yeah, it's like watching a pitcher throw a perfect game. It's like, oh, come on, get to the 8th. Get to the 9th. So it's every pitch is like an episode. Yeah, it's a great episode. They more focused this time around, which isn't necessarily a better thing. I do like the episodes when they get more chaotic. But yeah, it was a great episode.
It's a nice change in pace from the chaos, the more grounded dialogue-driven moments and the monologues going on. What do you think, Teddy?
I enjoyed this episode too. Like I said in the beginning, I'm a fan of the less storylines. It helps the viewers trying to grasp the episode. I was a little upset that they didn't bring up the DNA. I'm happy that they brought up how it started. I'm excited for episode 3.
Takes time. I mean, the DNA is probably one of the biggest.
I didn't see this episode coming. I didn't see them going
Change of pace.
back in the past. I figured they just go.
Got to build gradually. I mean, because
Me too. I didn't think they were going to go back.
I mean, it's only how many days? What did they say? 11 days. So you can't really just jump the gun and solve all the mysteries in the next episode. You got to gradually build your way there, get some context from the past. What about you, Nash?
It was a great storyline episode. I liked the way that, you know, William and James, you know, they kind of give you that idea of how negotiations went with that. And what's so funny?
Not laughing at you.
trying to sneak in a mint.
You know, he yells at me, and he's wrapping up mints while I'm
he's over
talking.
there.
Like, God, am I going to get kicked off the show? No, I probably
Oh, it's
will.
got to be the end of the show because Teddy picked up something to play with.
No, great storylines. Like I said, great Dolores scenes, and it was awesome seeing Gus for like 5 minutes. But
Hell of a 5 minutes, though.
yeah, like I said, best scene in the show, and looking forward to episode 3. Maybe we could watch it together. We haven't had like an episode we watched together.
I mean,
Cool.
you know,
we're like
it's-
podcast friends. We're not really like let's hang out and watch stuff friends yet.
We just had dinner together.